I did it. Welcome to Communication Technology's second webinar. This week we're going to be talking about winter holidays and also how we can support our students that don't celebrate them and make them feel that they are still, that they are part of our school family and make sure that they feel included. Before I get started on that, I would like to say a few things. For one thing, I want to mention that communication technology courses that are offered through Portland State University, and they're accredited for professional development units, PDUs, for salary steps, for renewing your teaching license. These courses are offered at ctcourses.net, and the deadline for the fall quarter is December 9th. And I know that sounds surprising because it's almost the end of the year, but these courses they're self-driven. You do them on your own, and the deadline for these is December 9th. So if you sign up for a course, then you can do the coursework during the winter break, and you'll get an M, which means that the grade is missing until you submit your work, and then it'll just be changed to an A. So that's like the fastest way you can get the units too, because it's the fall quarter, so you'll get those units very quickly. Another thing is that if you register for a course at CT Communication Technologies, you will be entered into a drawing for 7 nights for free at a beautiful resort in Cerritos, Mexico. So 7 nights free. You'll be in the drawing for that if you register for a course or if somebody else registers that has been referred by you. So you just need to make sure that they provide your name and email. So another thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm working on making these webinars more interactive. So I did add a back channel chat to it so that people can discuss what we're talking about. You can discuss it with each other in the back channel chat. So I'm going to be posting the link to that, to the back channel chat. So I will do that right now. We'll go to the back channel chat and hold on. Okay. So I'm going to put it in the text here in the webinar. It's there, so you can, if you open your text, if it's not there right now, you can open up your text and click on that. But basically, it's just https://chat.com/chat/3VLAM. 3VLAM. Okay, and I will put that bigger also on the presentation, which I'm going to be going to. So the time from Thanksgiving to New Year's goes very quickly in school, as we all know, and the days are filled with lots of special events and things that can distract from teaching and learning, but also we can use these things to integrate them into our teaching, and we can to make learning even more fun. But there are things that we need to consider, especially when we have students who don't celebrate the Christmas holiday. Some may celebrate the Jewish holiday Hanukkah, which we'll talk about also, but there are some students who don't celebrate the holidays at all, and so we want to make sure that when we're having all these celebrations going on in the school, that they don't feel left out or feel sort of awkward, like they're not part of it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I can put on the presentation. Okay. There we are. And also notice at the top of that slide, ask a question at goo.gl/slides/H58AAH. If you ask questions there, then I will see that immediately and I can answer those questions as they come up. We are going to have some guest speaker teachers joining with us soon. And so, but let me go ahead and put that back channel chat address there for you bigger. Okay, where should I put this? Okay, I'll just put it really fast. There we go. Okay. So, if you want to get into that back channel chat /chat/3VLAM. And I'm looking at this also, all these webinars are a chance for us to talk about and share technologies that are really handy in our teaching with our students. And back channel is a wonderful tool because you could be teaching about something and instead of students maybe talking with each other and chatting about other things, having side conversations, they can actually be chatting in text in the back channel chat window, and you'll have the transcript to that. You'll be able to see their questions that they may have. Let me show you what it looks like. Here is the back channel chat window that I'm into. I type this, hello, welcome to Communication Technology, 4 p.m. Thursday's webinar. So you can see here, if other people join, then everybody can be having the chat in here. And you can do this in your classroom, and there's a free account, backchannelchat.com, for teachers to use with their students. So you can have all your students talking and discussing about what you're teaching while you're actually teaching it. Okay, it really increases motivation and engagement. So back to our presentation. We have, oh, I thought that was Susan Stevens. It was not. Come on over here. We have Sarah Chaudhry joining us. And also we are going to be having Susan Stevens joining us. Let me unshare my screen real quickly so that you can meet Sarah in person. This is Sarah Chaudhry.
My name is Sarah Chaudhry, and I am a teacher at Lincoln Elementary here in Woodburn. And I've been here at the school for 10 years now. And this is my 3rd year at 4th grade. So glad to be here. Happy to be here.
And happy 10th anniversary.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to our presentation. Okay. Okay, so here are some holidays going on in December. And so this gives you, there's some that aren't talked about as much or celebrated as much, like Boxing Day is Australia, Canada, England, and Ireland. Kwanzaa is listed here, and there's when we get to that slide, there's a discussion that I would like to have about that because I was doing some research into Kwanzaa. So anyway, those are just December holidays, okay? Here is a slide talking about Christmas activities and things that we can do. So I guess before I wanted to show all these different things, I wanted to say that I am having, we talked about integrating the holidays into teaching and learning, and I'm having my 4th and 5th graders research Christmas in different countries. And because what I'm actually teaching my students, and they know this, they're 4th and 5th graders, I'm teaching them how to do research, paraphrase, cite sources, and include quotes, and cite those sources for the quotes. So this is just sort of a fun, exciting thing for them to be able to do. And it's all around one topic, so they're just doing Christmas in different countries, and they're going to have to paraphrase and cite sources. And then I'm going to have them do artwork, like either on my iPad or else on paper, and I'll scan it. And then and I plan to take all their work and put it together and go to like Shutterfly or lulu.com where you can make your own hardback books and make one book with all their different stories about Christmas. And we can put that in our school library. So they're very excited about that. I did check with them. It's my English enrichment group, and I asked first, is there anybody in here that does not celebrate Christmas? That really is not supposed to go to the assemblies and is not allowed to celebrate Christmas. And nobody was. And so that's the thing with our school, is that most of our kids here do celebrate Christmas. And so I think that's one reason why we get away with having a Christmas sing-along, which the whole school joins in with. But we have to realize that it's a different situation in schools all over the country. And it wouldn't fly in a lot of them. And if there had been kids in the class that Hanukkah was on my list too, and Kwanzaa, but they all celebrate Christmas, so I figured we'd just make a Christmas book. But if there were kids in my class that were Jehovah's Witnesses or Muslim, or for whatever reason they did not celebrate Christmas, then I would have altered this activity. I wouldn't have made it an all Christmas.
And I think the best thing is communication, and the way that you asked your 4th and 5th graders, and then also communicating with parents or whoever's at home.
Exactly.
I mean, how do they feel about, their children who, may or may not, celebrate, those holidays or Christmas in this case? How do they feel about that? But I think that's the right approach.
Yeah. Yeah, just being open and communicating. I agree. And also, my kids are 4th and 5th graders, so they know how to answer the question. Whereas if you ask that question of a kinder or 1st grader, they might not even know.
Right. And given that they're older, you're right. I think just posing that to them, they can articulate whether or not that's something that their family celebrates.
Exactly.
And then go from there.
And that's something that came up in my research, and some things I'll show in this slideshow, is that other teachers who've dealt with this with students in their classroom who were Jehovah's Witnesses or didn't celebrate, communication with families was really appreciated, because they communicated at the beginning of the year and developed strategies to make things go smoother for all the children.
Yeah, and it varies from family to family. Like in my experience, for instance, it might be that parents don't mind that children do participate, and maybe other activities where there is this general theme or maybe a holiday theme, but it varies. So it's good to just maintain that communication.
And there is the slide coming up in here too that's just winter related, like crafts and lessons and things. So that can be handy. So let me see. Oh, for that research that they're doing, that I'm having my kids do, this is a really cool website that I found, whychristmas.com. And if you look at that, you'll see this is all, questions about Christmas, but then right here, Christmas around the world. And look at all these countries. So it's just a really nice, easy resource for them to use for their research. Okay. So another thing that I noticed is that Pinterest, I used to think that Pinterest was just sort of a hobby thing, a social media thing. And it was just a couple of years ago, I realized what a treasure trove Pinterest is for teachers.
Oh, yeah.
For everything. I mean, anything. You search Pinterest for, English language learners, boom, lots of stuff. Or ESL or science, just grammar. I just couldn't believe how many resources there were when I was thinking of Pinterest just as people sharing styles, clothing and jewelry and stuff. I was totally missing what was out there. So there's a lot of things there. Did I mark that? No, I'm sorry. Okay. There's recipes here. And this slideshow, I'm going to make this available for people to be able to download, so you'll have all these links and they'll be live with this whole slideshow. So there's Christmas recipes, there's songs, and songs, especially these ones on YouTube that have lyrics, that can be great for reading and just oral English fluency. And so here are holiday neutral resources for winter. Okay, so we've got teachers pay teachers, which they're for sale things, but this is a whole packet, So Much Fun, that other teachers make things and they sell things on Teachers Pay Teachers. So that's a $4 digital download for that. And I haven't downloaded it. I'm just providing the link. There's this packet, How Snowflakes Form. But these are all different things too. All Kids Network, Winter Crafts for Kids. So if we go there, you'll see that, it's just winter related arts and crafts. So this would be a great thing to do too if you had just 1 or 2 students in your class, and maybe it was a Christmas tree artwork thing. They could do something from here instead. The same thing too with Halloween. Instead of like a jack-o'-lantern, they could do a fall harvest kind of picture or whatever. So some good resources. There's non-Christmas winter songs, and then there's also non-Christmas songs. There's some that are just about winter, and there's some that are just like about Christmas but not religious. Okay, but these are links to those. And then free winter songs and rhymes for circle time. This is really cool because when I went here, this is a Montessori site, Living Montessori, and these are all free winter songs and rhymes for circle time, and all these, it's like a playlist of all this great stuff, and they do the same thing for Christmas, there's one for Kwanzaa, there's one for Hanukkah, right here. You see all these resources. Hanukkah songs and rhymes for circle time, free Kwanzaa songs and rhymes for circle time. And then look, they have other songs and rhymes for Martin Luther King Day, Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day. This is a pretty cool source.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can introduce or reintroduce to those of you who saw her last week. Stop sharing my screen. Okay, Susan Stevens, our school counselor.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, I was here last week.
Yes. Okay.
So
And
what's our topic today?
Our topic, and you can see when I go back to the slideshow, so here I go right now, it's called Winter Celebrations or Not. Because, and it's just all the things that we do in the winter in school, and also working with students and supporting them who don't celebrate the holidays, any holidays or these particular holidays, making sure that they don't feel left out, because there's a lot of excitement and commotion going on, but we want to make sure that nobody feels sad, that they're not part of that. So these resources that you're looking at right here, this is a slideshow that I'm going to make available to everybody. I'm going to give the link to actually download it, so all these links are live and people can get right to them. But so these are all holiday neutral resources that have more to do with winter, not Christmas. Okay, so there's songs, there's packets like science things, there's crafts. Okay, so there's that. This is where I was trying to go before. This is just a screenshot from Pinterest. Okay, and so this is all just Christmas stuff, but the same thing if you type Hanukkah, if you type just winter, you'll get just tons of resources, different boards, and when you click on there, you can find templates, pictures of people's bulletin boards. Teachers, we get ideas from people's bulletin boards. I remember I used to just roam the hallways before there was even internet, and I would have my disposable camera and just walk through hallways and take pictures of.
This is just such a convenient way to share and access.
Exactly. It's kind of like a virtual bulletin board. Instead of just being in one hallway, you're seeing the bulletin boards from.
So have you discussed what do we do with children when they do feel sad and uncomfortable in school?
Not yet. We're going to get to that, and we have like a resource there. So I'm going to skip through this because we already talked about the Christmas Around the World, using Christmas as a learning chance. And also it has to do with, multicultural education and appreciation of different holidays. So I do think it's important for us to teach about Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, and I just found out recently that Ramadan isn't in December. And Sarah explained to me that
the Islamic calendar is based on the rotations of the moon. So the two major holidays in Islam are Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. And those holidays will never fall on the same day because of the Islamic calendar, which they are based on. And so you probably have heard about the holy month of Ramadan. That month precedes one of these holidays. And so it's not that easy to gauge when exactly it's going to be and just plan for that for a specific day or time frame, because
I just think I recently heard it was in the summertime. Was it ever in the
Right.
summer?
Yeah.
That surprised me, because I thought the last time it was another time of the year.
Exactly.
And so I was
because it's based on the Islamic calendar, which I mentioned is based on the rotations of the moon.
So this is news to you too, huh?
Yeah, actually, I have a church I go to attend, and we discuss the times to visit the church when they're actually doing celebrations. And in the summertime, and I thought, well, wait a minute, I was confused by the students telling me, or I actually heard they're fasting, and they had just finished their fasting, and it was in the wintertime. And so now it's in the summer, and our church offers a place for them to celebrate. So they do a lot of celebrations during the summer, and I'm thinking, that's
why.
So I understand.
And now I understand why I was confused and thought that Ramadan was another holiday in December, because at some point back in my past as a teacher, it was.
Yeah.
But
so I just assumed.
As far as this idea of taking an academic approach, I completely agree with that. But, if we are teaching students about, how maybe different holidays are celebrated around the world, then the academic approach would be to include as many holidays as we can.
Right.
To really give them a full understanding of the multicultural world in which we live. And rather than focus on maybe what might be familiar to us, or even what our students, are familiar with.
Right.
So just broadening their horizon, with all holidays, if that's the approach that we choose to take.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important for us to do, is not trivialize things like trying to just cram everything into December. Like when I can't pronounce the holidays that you just said.
Eid al-Fitr.
Eid
Eid al-Adha.
And Eid al-Adha.
They are both known as Eid, just for short. But there's a distinction.
I'm just thinking that to truly, teach multiculturally, that could be something that we do teach when those holidays come up during a school year, if they're not in the middle of summer, if they're, and that's the thing. I've heard this point before too, like with African American history. We shouldn't be trivializing it by just having it be like this month, for the month of February, and everybody learns about Martin Luther King, but it's just sort of, it's just sort of a superficial kind of, look, we're doing African American history, where really it should be embedded in the curriculum, where they're learning about African American history as it is relevant through all sorts of subjects. And I'm thinking the same thing with that. With Islamic holidays, that when it's time, then we could teach that too,
And it's really timely, and it does lead to that question of why we do it all at the same time of the year. But we have a first grade teacher who is doing get all the holidays of the world at this time of the year. So she actually has celebrating around the world booklet.
That's what I was trying to do, but what I realized, especially with Ramadan, was well, they're not. I also thought Diwali, the Indian holiday, I thought it was in December. Well, guess what? It's not. It was at the end of October. So it kind of threw my whole plan of all these different holidays and different cultures all in December, because they're just not.
Well, it just brings all this to the fact that, are we out of, like you mentioned, that was the other side of that, celebrating during the school year. We maybe have done that. We kind of had a little bit of a capsulized version of celebrating holidays of all the worlds,
Mhm.
because we have a certain time we celebrate that and it's comfortable.
Yes.
And maybe that's where that, when I was growing up, maybe that's why you heard about many types of celebrations, different quote unquote religious. We took that out of that, and maybe now we've just made it one time of the year we celebrate all those holidays, no matter where they're from. Could be Indian, could be.
But we still have to remember that even then, even when we make it secular, non-religious, there's still some kids who either, are still not going to be able to be included in those activities. So we need to be sensitive to that.
And as a counselor, that's actually what I'm here to mention too. And I hear that's what you're.
I'm getting there. I did. These are all Hanukkah resources, but here's what I also discovered in my research, in my preparation for this hangout, is that it reminded me of Cinco de Mayo, how in America we were like big, Cinco de Mayo, but really that's not the important celebration for Mexico. Their Independence Day is the one that's in September. And so it's really just an Americanized thing to make a big deal out of Cinco de Mayo. Well, this is kind of similar, and I didn't know it. I just figured, that's handy. Hanukkah and Christmas are together in the same month.
Yeah.
So everybody's included and everybody's being represented. But really, Hanukkah is a much lesser important holiday to the Jewish people.
I have a friend who let me know that in so many words. We were talking, and she says, "Are you talking about the American view of Hanukkah, or are you talking about the?"
What did she say about that?
I know her through. I visit with her many times, and she's an American Jewish woman. So her children celebrate a lot of Jewish religious activities during the Christian holiday time. And I remember her saying at one point that we celebrate at this time so the students or their children and other children, not necessarily just hers, would feel comfortable and not left out.
Right.
And I remember that, and I thought, is that really true? And I haven't really looked into the history, but I know that she said that pretty clearly, because she has lived here and she has a lot of family in New York and family here in fact, in Beaverton. And that's what the kids said too. During the years in high school, they celebrate, they get all these gifts, and they correlate, and they kind of coordinate the times, and they're getting those gifts during that time.
It sounds it's not really so much about the religion as it is about everybody having their party at the same time.
And I don't think she was really sure that it's kind of a traditional thing, or did that grow out of tradition? Is it growing out of convenience? Is it growing out of because that's what our world does? So that we make sure that, you could always put into it's a buying time of the year. And
well, there's another thing that came up.
Right.
It's called, in my research, it's called the December dilemma. And there's more than just the consideration of kids who don't celebrate the holidays. There's also, what other things are we actually reinforcing? And I'm not saying I don't want to do it. You know me, I'm dressed up like Christmas every day. So I'm not saying get rid of it, but it is making me more reflective about it. It pushes a gimme commercialism, materialism thing. What are you going to get? What do you want? What do you want for Christmas? It's pushing that. Then the buying thing. So there's that. There's just some things that maybe it's reinforcing that we don't want, that we don't usually think of. I mean, I remember being the kid.
This idea of shifting the focus. Like really what
exactly.
And maybe, and I always have this kind of wonder, did it get away from us? I mean, did we just catch this little, okay, that's an exciting time.
Exactly.
And okay, they can have a tree, other people can have a tree. It can symbolize different things in different religions. And I'm not very familiar with Ramadan, but we do have some students here who practice Ramadan. I have some students in my groups. And
I was asking Sarah about that too, because they're not usually allowed by their families to go to the assemblies, right?
They sometimes have options. They are given an option. I know my mom that I talk to all the time has given their children some like opportunities, some choices.
Oh, okay.
And
that's what Sarah was saying. It depends on the family.
So the best thing to do is communicate with family.
Yeah.
With parents.
Now there's another religion, and I'm not talking that we're just it's not just about religion, but I know we have Jehovah's Witness, and
Right.
they have no holidays. They don't celebrate any holidays, but they make it pretty comfortable for their children too, and they have their way of celebrating. Not celebrating, they have another name for it, but they do.
They have fun.
highlight
It's
their
just
have
not a
fun.
holiday.
They have
Yeah.
fun. They
Right.
give each other presents just out of the blue, or
Yeah,
just
exactly.
an unannounced time, or we're
And I
going on
discussed that with
vacation.
my students the other day because they're like, what? They don't celebrate any birthdays or Christmas? Like, oh, how horrifying. I'm like, no. They still have fun. They still have parties. They still do all sorts of things that you do. It's just not around a holiday. When you break it down, holiday is holy day. So, that's religious in nature.
I didn't know that.
Holy day.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
And so, but I think that was a good to teach the kids about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Just open communication makes things.
Well, Woodburn is a really
easier.
good place to try this out if we really wanted to do some shifting. We have a lot of different nationalities,
cultures,
different cultures. And
But we
it's
don't,
fun.
I don't think, I have never, in my 16 years here, I have not met a Jewish child. At least not here at Lincoln. So that's the thing. I used to teach in Los Angeles, and we did have Jewish children. And so there's the thing, too. Like I was saying to Sarah earlier, I think that there are schools in certain places in the United States that we wouldn't be able to get away with having a Christmas sing-along. The entire school, singing Christmas songs together. And sure, we throw in a Hanukkah song, a dreidel dreidel song, but really, it's very Christmassy. And the Hanukkah songs, I love them. They're pretty. I like them, but I do think it's tokenism. I do. It's superficial. It's nice, but I don't think there's a whole lot of study going along with, with it, or it's definitely a small part of the program too. And the other thing that I read, in these articles about Hanukkah is that not only is it a lesser holiday for Jewish people, but a lot of teachers that are trying to include it in their curriculum at this time of year, like me, we don't really know all that much about it. I didn't even know it was a lesser holiday. So that in itself kind of minimizes the importance. It degrades its importance, the Jewish importance, by having someone going, let's throw Hanukkah in there just because it's December. It just, but anyway, I'm not going to go through each of these, but one excellent website for teaching about Jewish holidays is Chabad.org. Yeah, Jewish Kids. It's not just recipes, but look, jewishkids.org. And it's all these things, videos, games, fun stuff, stories, features. And so these are recipes, but see, and it's not just Hanukkah. It's about all Jewish things. And for kids, this could be a wonderful unit for all of our students, but especially, if we had any Jewish kids, and I know that there are some in other schools.
Well, we possibly do have a move-in that are Jewish, and they're not.
We have what? People moving in?
Jewish family, but I'm not positive. But it's it came like a realization to me that I really don't know this family very well, and I was noticing that, and they had just moved from California. So,
when? Recently?
Recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very recently.
Well, I was hoping it wasn't somebody who'd been in our school for years, and I'm
recently.
like, we don't have any Jewish people.
But maybe we don't even know that do we have to know what their religion is?
No, we don't have to, but unless they, I think it's a nice thing and a good thing to know about each other, and to teach our students to appreciate and value other cultures and other religions. So there's that line between, privacy, invading privacy, and valuing other cultures.
And it's just a good reminder, though, too, to not make assumptions or jump to conclusions about our students.
And then maybe that's kind of what I wonder. It's not like you have to know someone where they're from or what they're doing.
Right.
But it is nice that we become accepting.
But I think it's okay to say, do you celebrate Hanukkah? Do you celebrate Christmas? that kind of thing.
And
Do
be
your kids-
comfortable in saying that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But I'm hoping that
Now,
we would look at students that
Here,
way.
speaking of Kwanzaa, which I have, I learned about it years ago, and as a teacher, it's like, oh, okay, we're going to do Kwanzaa things, but in truth, I don't know anybody who actually celebrates Kwanzaa. I have many African American friends, but they celebrate Christmas.
Huh.
The only time I've ever heard about Kwanzaa has been in school as a thing to say this is what African American people do. And so, I've got all these resources and stuff here, but then I started researching it, and look what I found. I Googled, do people actually celebrate Kwanzaa? Is it superficial or phony to do Kwanzaa lessons and activities in school? Again, are we just throwing it in there so that we can say that we are, And so I went here and I found these discussions from people. Okay, that's not good. Sometimes people are not, but basically talking about how people don't. It's maybe just us being superficial again. That African American people, for the most part, don't celebrate Kwanzaa, at least in America. Coming from an African, do people actually celebrate Kwanzaa? Africans in Africa don't even celebrate Kwanzaa. These are just different people replying. There's 4 replies here. I've heard that some areas in Africa do, but it's not really celebrated in America. Living in America, I choose Christmas as my primary celebration. I'm afraid it is very lost in America. So that's the thing. I see and I like the ideas behind it too, but okay, you guys got to tell me what you think. It reminds me of the metric system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I remember being young and being taught, the metric system, and we still try to do the metric system, but it never really caught on in America.
So yeah, but so what is our hope? Awareness, right?
Yes.
Our hope is just awareness, but not acceptance or devotion. So I think
True,
that's the big
but
key,
are
is
we
creating
being
a sense of awareness?
But we need to be aware of what's real, not aware of what we're inventing because we're in schools going, look, we're multicultural, when really out there it's kind of the opposite of appreciating cultures if it's not real. I mean, if it's not really being celebrated by most people. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm kind of clearing my mind about what multicultural would mean. Then are we kind of
all different cultures?
And then we're
talking about our American schools and what we're doing in our U.S. classrooms. And so
I guess
excuse me, maybe we need to consider also our sources or our resources.
Right.
Are we inviting people into the classroom that do celebrate these holidays, or what can they share, that's familiar to them, rather than us, attempting to look or we might not be 100% familiar with.
And like, is it a time that we have in school? Do we have aside that time?
I think that it can be built into a curriculum, like a writing project or whatever. It can be made. It can be something that could be used as the topic of any study. But like, let's say, Eid al-Adha.
Eid al-Adha.
Eid al-Adha. During that time, I could find somebody to come in that actually celebrates it, actually knows about it, and can really teach about it.
Yeah, you can contact, for instance, a local mosque if you were, at middle school or high school and you're teaching a class.
Yes, and that would be authentic. That's what I'm trying to get at, is authentic. Yes. I don't think that I could find someone that celebrates Kwanzaa and really understands it.
Yeah, that brings me to the problem, though, that you have so many possibilities, and then we don't really know what is authentic. There's so many varieties and different ways, and the awareness word maybe stands more prominent to me. You're aware. We're always aware. We're aware of our background. We're aware of our culture. But I was just talking to someone about Hispanic. The word Latino or Hispanic. Again, some of us said, I like to be called Latino. No, I like to be called Hispanic. And so I guess it's that awareness is, I'm good. I feel like that's a good thing for kids to have that. So then when they come across somebody that's different, they go, oh, that's interesting. And not feel like they have to go beyond that and not feel pressured. Because some of my students who are pulled out from those activities at first, I think they're feeling pressure.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've got to tell you why or how come. I don't even know why or how come.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
true.
I'm just a first grader, second grader. I just know that I'm not supposed to go in there.
Exactly.
And so I thought, okay, well, the best thing I can do then is to be, okay, I hear that you are not being able to do that because your mom and dad are asking this, just kind of asking us. And there was acceptance there just by saying, I accept that. Okay. Got it.
But also I think it's good for us to talk, like, as teachers, use that as an opportunity, like with me talking about the Jehovah's Witnesses, because the other kids do notice that they're not going. And so if we talk about it and teach about it, then it's not this deep, dark, secret thing like, why are they not? You know, it's just, okay, it's just another fact of life.
Yeah, that's kind of the acceptance again. Too. And then we have to, I think we get kind of pushed back, a worry a bit between separation of school and state, that whole topic.
I read about that too, and that's the thing is, as long as it's about cultures and educational and learning, like history and social studies, then it's okay, it's fine, it's acceptable and accepted, as long as it's not the actual devotion thing. That's the First Amendment. That's a part of that. But that doesn't mean that all of our families are going to want their kids to go to it just because we say it's being educational. That's a personal choice for them.
Well, there you go. Then again, we're just
the family's choice.
Family's choice.
Right.
And I notice in our buildings now, I noticed in Woodburn, we're pretty accepting of at least the students they seem comfortable. They know we're accepting.
Yeah.
They know we are tolerant as adults. I think it's always wonder what the children feel, what kids feel, what other
I think it's important
that
we follow up and make sure that follows kids as they get older, because I love it here at Lincoln. I will see kids of all these different cultures. We have a great mix here, and they're playing together. And, I remember back when we had some Old Believer Russians here, and they've got the hat on, and then we've got the Muslim girls who had their haircut, and they're all playing together, and they're different colors and different languages and different religions, and none of them cared. They're just digging in the dirt together in the playground. And I went, that is awesome. This is the world that I'm so glad I live in this world, that this school is my world. But then I found out that as they get older, like in middle school and high school, they start to click off from each other. And that makes me sad. And especially since they were friends and they start to separate by race.
I think it's a natural, I struggle with that too. Yeah. And I think, as you get older, we start becoming a little selective of who we want to be with. I just
wonder if the multicultural appreciation and acceptance, and if it could somehow be nurtured, like a multicultural club, or I don't know. I'm going off the top of my head.
That's a good point.
I just hate seeing that lost just because they got older.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And our schools are high schools, because I kind of familiar with the way they branch out and have clubs, and they have those types of groups that need support systems. They will join. They will make a club, and they will create something that's accepted by the administration, and then they are allowed to meet. Yeah. And I say that because you can't just create a club. It has to be approved. Yeah. Well, I think it's the same thing.
But you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what happens at the older grades over there as far as what the teachers talk about, and how much it is encouraged that they not worry about those things. And you were friends when you were little. Why is it different now?
That's a good question for me to take to my counselor PLC.
Oh, good. Okay.
Because I'd like to know what they're seeing, how the kids are feeling.
Yeah, because I've heard that the fights start and all sorts of things because of different races. I'm like, what? Together here, it's just made me sad. So this slide here, supporting students who don't celebrate holidays. These are links to some different, like I talked about the December dilemma. This lessons for now, students who don't celebrate holidays. This is sort of a teacher's, an anecdotal, story and about that. But basically it repeats what you were saying, Sarah, about just being in communication with the families, and beforehand. But I liked this. We talked about this, doing different things, and instead of a Halloween-y thing, they did a leaf or fall stuff. But I liked this secret signal thing. I established a secret signal with the student. Anytime the student thought an activity might conflict with her religious beliefs, she could either come up and let me know or just silently alert me with a secret signal. I like that, a little discreet thing that,
it's just between student and teacher.
Exactly. And the fact that they had set that up at the beginning made it easy to do, and it didn't draw attention to the student as being like different.
Yeah, because there are a lot of students that are apt to go up to the teacher and specifically have that conversation. They might need just a safe way to communicate that.
Right. So this is the December dilemma, and this was a lot talking about the Christmas conundrum, and this is where I read about, the things that we might be reinforcing that aren't necessarily great, like greed and, act on, Black Friday. So it's just, I'm not going to go through it, but it's an article on that, striking the right balance, using it as a teachable moment. Okay, teaching tolerance problems with Christmas curriculum. Maybe that's where I was seeing this. See, unintended negative consequences. So the commercialism. Emphasizing rewards for good and bad behavior. It sort of takes away from what we're trying to reinforce, is that intrinsic motivation, and all of a sudden everything's about, being good or being bad in order to get something. So I never thought of these things in this way. So different links about that. Oh, here's a from the NEA, National Education Association, article from them about this topic. Teach, don't celebrate. Survey your school. Like I said, survey your school. We have different situations in different schools depending on the population surrounding it. So I think that does make a difference. This was just a little snippet that I took out as far as, I'm not talking about if it's just, teaching, what's the problem, that would be fine. But then here, I'm not sure how religious beliefs work, but I know how some religions are very strict and cannot even discuss certain holidays. And that teacher spelled things wrong. But anyway, it's what Sarah was talking about. It's different for different families. So communication is key. Winter craft ideas. All these are just winter things, not Christmassy. And so that's it. So please stay up to date on future Google Hangout video conferences. You'll also find about new course offerings at Communication Technology through Portland State University, and books, blogs. What I intend to do with these webinars, last one and this one, is I'm going to take the recording and I'm going to make it into a podcast. So I'm going to get the podcast up and running. If any of you would like to subscribe to the podcast, I will be starting that, and I'll keep you updated on that. Also, the recording of this webinar can be downloaded and seen at another time. It doesn't have to be live. And I'm also going to use each one of these as the basis for our blog. So this isn't just a right now, it's over and done with thing. This is something that will be ongoing and can be added to.
So this is a continuing course.
It's a continuing webinar, and it'll be different topics each time.
So what's your next topic? Do you have?
I don't know yet.
Oh, so you're
in fact, that's a great question, and so I will put a link. I would love ideas of what teachers find important and relevant, and what we want to be talking about, and I'll build a webinar around that. Okay. I am thinking the Smarter Balance test is something that's relevant, and it's coming up soon. So just a reminder, register for a CT course or refer someone who registers for a chance to win 7 nights at Surf Colony Resort in Cerritos, Mexico. And that's a picture. And I do want to show real quick ctcourses.net and give you an idea of classes that are there. And remember, these are 100% online and self-guided. So you do it at your own time. You could even win that vacation to Mexico, 7 nights, and do your work right there, sitting in your chair at the beach. So these are the different courses that are so far offered, and we have new ones coming soon. And so there's how to get there. And that's it. So let me stop sharing so that we can say goodbye. Get back to my Google Hangout. I have too many tabs open at once. Stop sharing. And here we are.
All right.
Say goodbye,
Bye.
Susan Stevens.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And thank you very much. I love having teachers with me right next to me because it's a lot easier for me to talk and carry on a conversation about these topics.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate
think about
it.
things in a different way. So
Oh, good.
that was the intention. And I appreciate
Excellent. That was
Thank
my
you.
intention.
Yeah, it's very interesting to think about what we're doing and
Yes.
how we go forward.
How
That's,
often, I
good
mean,
steps.
as I'm reading and learning everything that we're doing, it's all about being reflective, right?
Yeah.
Thinking what we're doing, not just
Yeah.
barreling through
Most
without
definitely.
looking back. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us.